since I was a kid, it seemed I collected
Ninja Q.
Hello, my name's Will Ashon from Big Dada and I'm hosting the Ninja Tune podcast, and I'm going to be speaking to Dobie about his long and very amazing career in music and also his new album, We Will Not Harm You. As well as hearing music from that album, we'll be hearing 5 tracks that influenced Dobie and lots more music from Ninja Tune and Big Dada. So I'm very pleased to be sitting here with Tony Campbell, aka Dobie, a man with an incredible CV and history in British music, going right back to the early days with NSO Force and then Soul to Soul and heaps of other people, some of whom we'll be talking about in a little while, as well as talking about his new album for Big Dada, We Will Not Harm You. Let's start off by talking about your album. Tell me a little bit about what you've been trying to do with the new record and how you came to put it together.
Just trying to go somewhere else with it, really, you know, because like when I did this album, I decided like, you know what, I'm just going to cut off, disappear and just get lost in the music and let what come out. You know, I had a pretty crazy process. I was like waking up, instead of staying up late, I'd wake up early, like at like 4 a.m, maybe go for a bike ride and start working then and stuff. And I just kind of just fell into a crazy kind of routine with it. Yeah, just trying to go somewhere else, you know, like I didn't listen to much music when I was making the album, you know, just kind of shut off from everything that was coming out and around me at the time, you know, just kind of let what come out, basically.
Over the years, you've produced and worked with a lot of other people. So was working on your own a very different experience?
Yeah, especially on this album because I did it totally on my own. There was no other other people that I worked with apart from Eclectic from the Hicks. She worked on a couple of tracks, but yeah, it's just a discipline thing, you know, like head down, got to get it done. You know, it's quite easy to just drift off. When you go, oh, I'll do that tomorrow, and something that you say you do tomorrow, you end up doing 2 weeks later. So kind of had to rail myself in and just kind of like, okay, get focused, get on with it, get it done, you know. So yeah, and like, you know, when you're working with other people, you're holding the reins a little piece, but you know, there was no one holding my reins apart from me. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, it was kind of like, I enjoyed it, you know. Like I say, at times you do kind of waver, you know, you do hit walls. I remember I hit a wall for about 3 weeks, and the thing that brought me out of it was the Visions tune that you sent me. You put out on Big Dada. That was kind of like, okay, yeah, that kind of inspired me and got me going again. You know, funny little things would inspire me. Like I'd be walking down the street and I'd see a billboard. You know, like one example was for a track on, there's a track on the album called Stan Lee is a Hero of Mine. And I remember I was walking down the back of Dalston and there was a massive billboard for the film X-Men First Class. And like, I was a big comic reader as a kid. And I kind of looked at the billboard and just went, yeah, Stan Lee's a hero of mine. Yeah, for real. And then that sparked the track. Do you know, that gave me, yeah, I can make the track go like this way, go that way, do you know? You know, just like crazy little things.
I guess your background and what you're probably best known for is your work within the field of hip hop and soul, maybe more generally. I mean, the sound of this album is, I'd say, is considerably more varied than that. How would you describe the music that you've made for this record?
Raw, gumbo music. You know, I listen to a lot of different music, so I suppose I'm influenced by a lot of different things, you know? And just, you know, just raw gumbo, you know, stew, you know, just beats. And trying to go a different way kind of with the drums, you know, as well. Sound a bit more live and stuff like that. Yeah, just raw, in your face, gutter. But sweet at the same time, gentle, you know, kind of thing. The rough with the smooth, I'd call it.
For people who don't know, I'd like to talk a little bit about your history in British music. I could tell everyone, or I could just ask you to talk people through your background and how you got into hip-hop and how you got into DJing and production.
I've always been around music ever since I was a kid. You know, I always used to listen to the radio. My dad was a carpenter, you know, by trade, and his little sideline on the weekends was building speaker cabs for the various sound systems at that time, you know, for his generation. Most been playing more like blue beat and ska and stuff like that. You know, so music's always been there, you know. And I was a big listener of John Peel when I was a kid, because, you know, TV would end at like 12, you know, or like 10:30 or something silly like that. And the only thing that was on was like John Peel. So I just used to listen to him. And then when I really got into it was through getting into hip hop. You know, when hip hop came to England, and not just hip hop, also all the electronic music that was coming out at that time. Visage, you had New Order and acts like that. And they were kind of travelling the same path, because hip hop then was very electro. So both of them appealed to me, the sound appealed to me, you know. And, you know, and seeing things like the Buffalo Girls video, that's what made me want to get turntables, get decks and do the DJ thing, you know. So yeah, and then it just went from there. Like, you know, I got my first set of decks, took me ages to save up for them. And I was literally just a bedroom DJ, just learning how to cut, learning how to scratch and stuff like that, and hanging out in record shops like Groove Records and things like that in Hitman, getting all the latest releases. Started playing out and stuff. And then, you know, hooked up with other heads. Like I hooked up with Melody, Dougie, and we started NSO Force. I think that was like 88, 89 or something like that. You know, got introduced to Soul to Soul by a friend and started hanging out with the sound and stuff like that. Came a bit of a sound boy, carrying speaker boxes and stuff like that. And then Jazzy got signed to Virgin, you know, and him and Nelly set up like the production team, Silent Productions. And Jazzy said to me, because Jazzy knew I was already playing with like drum machines and stuff like that. And he goes, look, I want you to come and work with me and Nelly in the studio. And so we just started doing the Soul to Soul thing, you know. Did a cut on the first album and then got more involved on the second album and all the singles that came after that first album. You know, Back to Life, Get a Life, Dream's a Dream. And all the remixes we were doing, Family Stand, Get Out of Heaven. We did 2 for Family Stand actually. There's another one called Sweet Liberation. And what else did we do? Sinead O'Connor, Fine Young Cannibals and stuff, you know, as well as doing all the Soul to Soul stuff. Me and Howie B was engineering for Soul to Soul at the time. You know, a lot of these cats met at Africa Centre, which was the club Soul to Soul used to do in Covent Garden. And that's how a lot of people, you know, met. From the Simon Laws to the Howie B's. They already knew of Wild Bunch, Nelly and them cats, because they'd done, you know, the odd jam with them. Yeah, and, you know, the Barry Sharps of this world used to be in there, the Paul Andersons, you know. A lot of people kind of hooked up there at that time. You know, like-minded people, basically, you know. So, you know, did the Soul to Soul thing, then me and Howie kind of broke away and we did an album for Ireland. We started up the Nomad Soul thing, was doing the remixes and stuff like that, and did an album for Ireland. Then we went our separate ways. And then when, you know, we hooked up a few years later when Howie started Pussyfoot. And I did an album there for Pussyfoot and stuff. And, you know, and just people started to come to me for remixes and stuff. I've never really gone out looking, you know, and I've hardly ever had management or anything like that. Things just seemed to come. People were hearing what stuff that I was doing, and then, you know, okay, you know, we're looking for a remix. Would you like to remix this? Would you like to remix that? As well as doing stuff with just friends, you know, Dominant Force guys, still doing stuff with the Grave guys and Mighty Ethnics and stuff like that. You know, friends would just come to me, oh, can you do some beats and stuff like that? I went, yeah, okay, or can you do some cuts on a record? You know, just doing, you know, just generally just doing, you know, and I'm here now. Hasn't stopped.
Another set of people, or another person you're kind of renowned for working with, is Rodney P and London Posse. And I highly recommend anyone out there who's not seen the video for How's Life in London to go and check it on YouTube and try and spot Dobie pulling his best ghost dog pose in the background. It's an absolute classic. So tell me how you hooked up with London Posse and Rodney P, who you've obviously worked with over the years again and again.
I've always been a London Posse fan. Do you know? There was that point in UK hip hop where it didn't really have its own identity. Everyone was trying to be, a bit American. That was their influence. And cats like the London Posse, MC Mello, the Demon Boys, they gave it that London rude boy twang. We got a very, big reggae music culture over here. They brought that into it, which is like between that and like the London kind of Cockney thing, it's like, yeah, that's us, that's our style. So I've always kind of been a fan of them. And like, when me and Harry were assigned to Ireland doing the Nomad Soul thing, the London Posse was signed to Mango. I didn't really know the guys then. Like, we'd see each other out and about and stuff and be like, all right, hi, how you doing? But when we were at Ireland and they were on Mango, they asked us me and Harry to remix Jump Around. And we went, yeah, cool. And what happened was, we was in one day in the studio laying down the backing track and, the guys came in. They came down to hear what was going on, loved it, and they said, yeah, we want to revoice it. We're going to go and redo a proper revoice on it. And then it just built from there. And then, they would come back to me and say, yeah, we're doing a new record, you got any beats and stuff like that? So those would come and check me for beats and stuff. And then, they had their little parting of the ways, London Posse and stuff. And I was still talking to Rodney, and just when I did the record with Pussyfoot, before I did the album, I did a EP. And like, I had this beat, and like, Rodney just came to mind. I hadn't seen him in a little while, and I just rung him up and goes, look, I've got this beat, I think you'd sound good on it, do you want to come and voice it for me? And he just said, yeah. He came around, heard the beat, took a copy of it, and like a few days later we was in the studio. That was a good one though, because we laid that vocal in like, it's got to be the fastest vocal I ever laid, half an hour. 2 takes on the lead and BVs, done. Like second take, yeah, we got it, we the BVs. So it's all, we've always had this working relationship and stuff. And, he always comes and checks me for beats and stuff like that. We're going to be doing some stuff for his new project on True Thoughts. So, he was with me last week. We were just sitting down discussing it and stuff like that. So hopefully in the next week or so we're going to hook up and start putting some ideas down for that. But yeah, man, I've known them guys a long time. I've just had a lot of fun with London Posse. Crazy guys. And Bull as well, that whole little camp. It was like Rodney, Bionic, Bull was managing them. Elvis, one of the Grove guys, was kind of like Bull's assistant. Good times.
Going back to the album, which I think I've already said is called We Will Not Harm You, pick out a track for me that you're particularly pleased with and happy with, and tell us a little bit about it.
That's a hard one because I'm happy with all of them. The Chant, I like a lot. I love that. It's just it's moody, kind of ghosty, kind of goes a bit broken beat towards the end. Stanley, just hard driving, slightly jazzy, kind of left to center. Then I Woke Up. It's like a dream track. It's like you're in a dream, especially when you get to the end and there's this big kind of sound. It sounds like someone's yawning. It's, you know, it's one of those tracks like I'm in a dream, and then you hear the yawns like, yeah, I've woken up now, kind of thing. Kind of takes you out there. Somewhere over there. Nice. Strings. Love strings, yeah. Real nice, atmospheric. You know, like last time I listened to the album, you know, kind of sounds a bit outer worldly, you know. And I'm happy it doesn't sound like everything else out there at the moment, do you know? In a funny kind of way, I want people to be like, what the fuck's going on there? Do you know what I'm saying? I think if I get that reaction, I think, yeah, cool, I got it right. You know what I mean? You know?
So another thing I wanted to ask you about is the art for the record. It's a really big deal for us at the label. We've got a painting, an original painting done by Chris Ofili, the Turner Prize winning artist, especially for your release. So tell me a bit about how that came about, because it certainly wasn't anything to do with us.
I've known Chris a while now, you know. I met him just before he won the Turner Prize. I was introduced to him by Attica Blues, you know, and he's just a really cool guy, you know. He is cool. He's sound, Chris, you know. And I was just like thinking about it, like cover art, who's gonna do what and whatever. And then I said, yeah, we just ask Chris, you know. And I remember, like, Will, you said to me before, yeah, you wanted to, you know, you tried to get him to do stuff before, or Ninja had, and it hadn't quite worked out, you know. And I said, oh, I know him. I know Chris, so let me just reach out to him. And yeah, he came through. I didn't think he was going to come through, do you know? You know, because I'm the kind of like, for me, it's kind of like, okay, let's go. Let's do it now. Let's get it done. Do you get what I'm saying? So, you know, I guess I'm just rushing, do you know? You know, and like, he said, Chris, like, yeah, I'll do it. Yeah, and I didn't know what kind of workload he was under. I didn't know he was doing a big, massive ballet project, you know? So I'm like, where is he? Chris, come on, man, you're coming through. And it's just like, yeah, and he came through. I just had to stay on him, you know. And I'm really happy he did, and I really like what he done. You know, the painting of the two guys sitting at the table having a drink, it's peaceful, you know. It's a peaceful image, and, you know, the title of the album, We Will Not Harm You, and stuff like that. So, you know, it's really cool. I want to do some more stuff with him. I've got a wicked idea for a project, you know. And, like, it sounds like he's into it. I think he's just tired now and he's just resting. He had like a stressful, you know, year and a half, 2 years doing that big project, and me rushing him to get my thing done and stuff. But yeah, I've got an idea for a project like Draw Sound. This bit of software I got, it's like a sound design, and it's like Photoshop, basically. So I want to give it to him and go, look, just draw images. These images you draw will create sounds which we can then go use to make a record. Yeah, so you know, I really want to do that. But yeah, Chris is sound, man. He's a sound guy, busy guy. I mean, I'm grateful that he came through.
So now we're going to talk about some records that influenced you and what you're all about. So lead us off with the first of those records, please.
All right, the first of those records is going to be Jean-Michel Jarre, Oxygen, which was the first record I ever bought as a kid. Pestering my dad to get me that record. And for me, it just jumped out at me because it just sounded different from everything else. All space age and sci-fi, and I like sci-fi. Yeah, and it just had me. It just had me in a bit of a zone because it just stood out. You know, different sounds. You know, all the electronics and stuff like that.
Okay, let's hear a little bit of Oxygen by Jean-Michel Jarre. That was Oxygen by Jean-Michel Jarre, otherwise known as Jean-Michel Jarre. And now on to the second one.
Second record I ever brought was Space Bass by Slick. Disco, baby, disco, disco, disco. Loved it as a kid. And at the same time, the whole disco thing was just kicking off in England over here. You know, they used to have the disco dancing competitions on TV and stuff like that. Yeah, just liked it, liked the energy of it, liked the vibe.
Was Slick, Space Bass, and now it's time for the next one.
Okay, getting into album territory now. Things get a little bit deeper here now. Big album for me, Remaining Light. Talking Heads, produced by Brian Eno. Amazing, amazing, amazing record, amazing producer. You know, smoked many a bong to that album. And you know, just had, how can I put it? It was just out there, just different, you know. And skating around London, listening to that, you know, you just Sony Walkman blasting in your headphones, had it on repeat. Just a beautiful album, really.
Any particular track?
Oh God, there's so many to choose from. Let's Born Under Punches.
Let's hear Born Under Punches by Talking Heads.
Take a look at these hands. Take a look at these hands. The hand speaks. The hand never got an end. Well, I'm a tumbler. Born under punches. I'm so thin. All I want is to breathe.
That was Born Under Punches by Talking Heads, and we have Dobie's next influential track coming up.
Okay, next influential album. I think it came out roughly around the same time as the Talking Heads album. Grace Jones, Nightclubbing. Wicked. Sly and Robbie on the production. Crazy Grace Jones on vocals. Yeah, I think the thing that made it for me with that album, it had a little reggae vibe to it. And that wasn't really happening then. It was like either hardcore reggae, there was no one kind of mixing the kind of reggae and the funk thing and the soul thing. Loved it. Another one, like skating around town in headphones, had the album on repeat.
And the track from that in particular?
Let's go with Feel Up.
This is Feel Up by Grace Jones. That was Grace Jones with Feel Up, and we're moving on to our next influential track from Tony Campbell, aka Dobie.
Okay, the last influential track, or should say album, that started everything off for me and getting into DJing, beat making, which led into remixes and production and making my own records, was Duck Rock, Supreme Team and Malcolm McLaren. That's the one that made me say, yeah, I want some turntables. I want a mixer. I want to do what them guys are doing. And then, like I say, seeing all the breaking in the videos, the graph, yeah, it just kind of just hit me and it still holds me to this day.
And which track are you going to pick from Duck Rock?
I think it might be called World Famous.
And here's a track off the Duck Rock album. This is called World Famous. Here it is.
All right, Am, bring in the organ. And I got to have that. Some people listen for history. Some people listen because they want a mystery. Some people listen, then say we're whack. But if they miss the show, they get a heart attack. Now look at you sitting there, biting your lip. The whole world sees you as a hypocrite. Live out the first law and make yourself preservation. If the show doesn't help you, change the station. If you don't want peace in the world, love, peace, and happiness, and an endless twirl. If all you want to do is keep the whole world back, you're the one that's whack. And we're world's famous.
Check it out, I'd like to thank everybody. I'd like to thank all the engineers for making this record. I'd like to thank you for buying this record. But finally, I'd like to thank all the Buffalo girls out there. So until the next time, I say peace to you and everybody out there. Coming from the world famous Supreme Team with Mr. Malcolm McLaren.
So one other thing I quickly wanted to touch upon was that as well as your background in music and production and DJing, you've also had a kind of parallel career, I guess, where for a number of years you were a skate photographer, working for Rad magazine in particular, although for other places as well. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about how the skating part of your life ties in with the music part of your life, how the two parts fit together.
Do they really fit together? I don't know if they do. It's just like, I was just into, I was into skating, from when I was a young age, and like, you meet loads of different people, loads of different backgrounds and stuff like that. And yeah, everyone's into music, and the skating also opened me up to a lot of different musics because, there's me into the soul and the funk and the reggae thing. And then my other mate, his thing was like Hawkwind. Do you get what I'm saying? So I got exposed to that. And then another mate, his thing was the whole Japan new romantic thing. So I got exposed to stuff there. And like, we always used to have a boogie box with us and everyone would just bring their tapes and put them in. But none of them were really into the hip hop thing, That's why I used to go like, I'd be over South Bank skating and I'd be like, yeah, I'm going to have a Covent Garden to watch the Breakers, I'll be back later. You know, they just wasn't into hip hop. They're all into hip hop now, you know, and stuff. So I don't know if there is a connection and there isn't a connection, if you get what I'm saying, kind of thing, you know. But yeah, skating, you know, it's big for me. Still is. You know, I'm not skating as much, but made a lot of good friends through skating. And you know, and we, you know, they're still friends now. We still talk now. We still see each other now. You know, which is a good thing.
And what was it you liked about skating? What was it that appealed to you about it when you got into that?
Initially, when I first saw a skateboard, is that I could roll down the street on this little bit of wood with 4 wheels, and it could go fast. Yeah. And it felt good. You know, it's a feel good vibe. It's just fun, a lot of fun. You know, and it took me around the world from a young age. You know, because we was always going to like competitions here up and down England, and then we go to a competition in France, and we might go to a competition in Germany, and just like a good crew of friends, you know, real tight crew of friends, like brothers really.
Well, it's been lovely chatting to you as ever, Tony. Thank you very much for that, and be sure to check out Dobie's new album, We Will Not Harm You, coming out on Big Dada. And now we're going to listen to some upcoming tracks from Ninja Tune and Big Dada. And to start us off, we've got Faulty DL with She Sleeps, which features a vocal from Ed McFarlane from the Friendly Fires. That was She Sleeps from Faulty DL, and that's on Ninja Tune. And this number is Natural by the one, the only Roots Maneuver. And this is on Big Dada and Banana Clan, of course.
It comes to me natural, it comes to me easy. Some say I'm romantic and some say I'm sleazy. It comes to me natural, it comes to me easy. Some say I'm romantic and some say I'm sleazy.
Well, they call me Mr. KO when I step up on the mic. The kind of guy that you would like up in your life. The kind of hype, the better than the rest could ever be. I do my thing and people can really hear the beats. And when you hear the beats, the rhymes, they are equipped. I come and do my thing, and when I'm coming off the hip into the hop and back and once again, my friend, and this is how we do it when we mix and blend and change the blend. And when I crop it down, it's hot stepping now. We step across the whole planet and the Mars is out.
It comes to me natural, it comes to me easy. Some say I'm romantic and some say I'm sleazy. It comes to me natural, it comes to me easy. Some say I'm romantic and some say I'm sleazy.
That was Natural by Roots Maneuver featuring the mighty Cope, Daddy Cope, sharing microphone duties there with the one and only Roots Maneuver. That is on Big Dada. Coming up now, we've got Hardcore Lover by The Bug, aka Kevin Martin, and it's featuring Warrior Queen, the fantastic Warrior Queen, who I think maybe more will be heard from soon. And it's on Ninja Tune, because you're listening to the Ninja Tune podcast, so that makes sense.
Me need a hardcore lover if you know what me mean. Real hardcore who can angle the queen. Keep me in general, make me let off steam. Make me want more like a siren. Me want it hardcore, on the bed or on the dresser, or even out a door. Me want it hardcore. No wrong with me pussy, hold it up and pull. Me need a hardcore lover, that's what me require. Satisfy me soul and 7 minutes from fire. Hardcore loving Warrior Queen, she a request. From your hardcore simple means you are the best. Me need a hardcore lover, that's what me require. Satisfy me soul and 7 minutes from fire. Hardcore loving Warrior Queen, she a request. From your hardcore simple means you are the best. Me need a hardcore lover, people stop and I go with say you no hardcore lover. Warrior Queen say you fit good. Vamoose evaporate, say me a beg you die. Me no need no lazy body, a blouse and skirt. No tired body, Warrior Queen no sorry for. Me no lotion, me no powder, me no give no soda. From you come in on me bed, make sure you proper. Me run the marathon 1 mile or further. Me need a
That was Hardcore Lover featuring Warrior Queen by The Bug on Ninja Tune. Now we have a track from France, from a Parisian duo called Vision. The track is Vortex, and this is on Big Dada. That was Vortex by Vision from the Life EP, coming out very soon on Big Dada. And that's your lot for this, not week, but time, this length of time until the next one, if you see what I mean. This is Will from Big Dada, presenting the Ninja Tune podcast. It's been great fun, for me anyway, if not for you. Thanks to Dobie, and of course the mighty DK for all his hard work. Thanks very much for listening. All the best. Toodle pip.